Welcome back, drone fans, to another exciting episode of Dung Drones. Today, we're going to be going neck deep into the flight menu of the DJI Fly app. If you're curious about drones, or if you own a DJI Mini SE, this video will help you understand the flight menu. Flight modes. The DJI Mini SE has three types of flight modes. We can find it to the upper left of the screen. When we tap on it, we'll see that we have three different modes to choose from. This is Cine Smooth, P mode, and Sports mode. Let us start in Sports mode. Sports mode is very fast and is good for getting those shots with excitement. Cine Slow mode is that mode where the drone goes very slowly if you're trying to get cinematic shots. And last but not least is our P mode or position mode. This is also known as a normal mode. Always be aware of which mode you're in. Exploring the in-flight menu. We can also find the in-flight menu option to the upper left of our screen. When we tap on it, it allows us to change the return to home altitude that the drone will come back to once we lose connection or we initiate the function. We can also set the max altitude, which is the highest altitude that the drone will climb to, and we can also set the max distance, which is the distance that the drone will go to. The SD card is at the bottom, and we can format that by hitting the format button if it is that we want to clear the SD card's memory. It is also good to check this feature because it shows us the flight status of the drone. If there are any errors with motors, battery, or anything else, it will show up here. So it's very important that you become very familiar with getting to this point. Okay guys, let's get more familiar with the maps. The map feature built in this drone allows us to find the position of the drone as well as be aware of the restricted areas where we can't fly. It also gives us information about the areas that we can fly as well. Now let's take a closer look at the map. There are three main icons that we're looking at in the center. The H stands for home point, and that's the point where the drone launched from. The triangle or the arrow stands for the drone, and the dot would signify the controller. Touching the exclamation mark at the top gives us access to the maps and shows us the restricted as well as allowed areas where we can fly. Maps can be displayed in standard, or satellite, or mixed. These three modes gives varying details of what the area looks like. For example, standard only gives us information about the name of the street and the road. Not much other detail is displayed. However, with satellite, you get a little bit more information in terms of landmasses and surrounding areas. Mixed is a combination of standard and satellite, which means that you get not only the addresses of locations that are around you, but you also get to see land features such as mountains and rivers, which will guide you to fly the drone in a more safer way. Selecting this feature allows us to find true north based on GPS, or deselecting it allows us to use the orientation of our controller to define the coordinates. We can also choose whether or not we want the screen to focus on the drone or on the home point itself. We can do that by clicking on the drone or clicking on the home point. As we fly, we make lines on the map, and for this purpose, the eraser icon will remove any flight lines that we may have created while in flight. Takeoff. Launching the drone is very easy. We start by tapping the up arrow, and after we do that, we'll be prompted to hold down the takeoff button. At this point, the drone will rise to about 1.2 meters and it will hover there for a while. During this time, it will be connecting to satellites, so it's very important that we allow this to happen. To land the drone, we press the H icon to the left and we hold down the downward facing arrow to land the drone. While the drone is coming down, we can still punch up with our left joystick, so we still have control of the drone. We can also press X to cancel the landing feature if we see it coming down on something unsafe. Reading the height and the distance of the drone. The height or altitude traveled by the drone is represented by the H. It is measured in feet and it is the vertical distance traveled by the drone. Observe, in a real-life setting as the drone climbs, so does the speed and the height. The height is measured in feet and the speed is measured in miles per hour. So we're going around about 1.8 or 1.6 miles per hour. Now it's climbing 2.5 and we stopped at about 39 feet. Now the distance is represented by the D and it's also measured in feet and it is the horizontal distance traveled by the drone. Let us see this in a real-life setting. As the drone pitches forward, we see that the speed increases and so does the feet. Taking a beautiful picture has never been easier with DJI's automatic picture function. Now on screen, we're going to go through the three major parts of what makes this so wonderful. Let us start first with storage. Storage displays the available memory on the SD card as well as the drone. We move next to format and it shows us that we are now taking pictures in JPEG, but we can also choose PNG. And we move next to the exposure value. The exposure value is a combination of the shutter speed and the ISO, which we move across to properly expose the image. Last but not least is our auto button. We can press that if it is that we want to switch to Pro mode, which allows us to manually change the settings of the camera. This is recommended as you get more familiar with your drone and it will give you an advantage to create more interesting shots. Tapping on the battery icon will give us a lot of information about the battery, including its health, temperature, how many times it's been charged, and so on. It's very important that you get familiar with this because you want to ensure that you are aware of the condition of your batteries before flight. This feature also tells us the time until the return to home feature will be initiated. It also tells us the time until the forced landing feature will be initiated, and it tells us when the battery will be depleted. Now it's very important that we pay close attention to these timings because you do not want to run out of power on your way coming back. The return to home function and the forced landing functions are automatic functions, so you have to be careful while flying. Tapping on the signal icon will give us information about the signal strength between the RC controller and the drone. It's very important that we monitor this throughout our flight because sometimes there will be interference and the signal might be strong or weak. Every time when the drone is launched, it attempts to make connections to satellites outer space. This is so it can position itself, and it also allows us to find it if it goes missing. Allowing the drone to get its satellites connected is very important. More on the in-flight menu. Click the three dots at the upper right hand corner if it is that you want to access the DJI Fly app wider menu options. And as you can see, it covers a wide range of different features. Right now we're under the safety tab and I'm scrolling down where we can see our max distance, calibrating our compass, calibrating our IMU or battery info, unlocking geozones, finding my drone if it goes missing. All these features are under the safety menu. Now if we are to go to the next menu, which is control, it gives us the power to affect the mode that we're flying in. If we want to fly in FPV mode, it affects the gimbal settings, how fast the gimbal moves up and down, and it also affects the way in which we want our sticks to respond. So in other videos coming up, guys, I'll break these sub menus down into parts where we can understand. Our camera menu gives us our ratio and all the overexposure settings that we need to see, and also we see the SD card in this section as well, and our memory. Move to transmission, where we get to see the channels that the drone RC controller is broadcasting on. of this drone, check out my playlist on the left. There's plenty of information there for you beginning flyers, and for all those who are just curious, there's something there for you too. This is Dung Drones, over and out.